Hello everyone from the Swedish forest. So like 4 days ago or so, we came from Norway to Sweden and now we're spending the last week of our trip here in Sweden. So the camera is tied to a tree and I'm like, if I'm standing up, I'm too tall. If I'm sitting down, I'm not tall enough. So the situation is a bit difficult, but we're gonna do this for this in and out video where we are going to talk about the things that have come into my life in August and the things that I have decluttered in August. I really imagine that I'm gonna film a lot more videos like outside, like really sit down outside and talk to you. But like the weather did not permit that. In Norway it just rained almost every day, and here in Sweden it's windy. You can maybe hear like the street over there. There's like a really fast, the E10, if that says anything to you. It's like a street that goes straight all through Sweden. But this is an in and out video. I hope I won't like be eaten up by mosquitoes, but let's start. I did already think that it could happen that some things break on this trip, so I'd have to buy new things, and I already thought that I might need to buy some things, and that is true. So let's maybe start with the things that I have decluttered from my life. So we have 3 things. One of the things I expected is one of my pairs of underwear. I took this with me just because it's very lightweight, because it has like a thin fabric, but it was already breaking apart during the past few months. But we have like a hole here, over here. That's just getting started. And like all the elastane parts are coming out. The fabric is like non-existent at that point. So it was great because this dries fast. So even when it was raining, it was really easy to wash that by hand and dry it overnight if I did not have any like new underwear for the next day. So I'm glad I brought it, but now it's ready to be tossed away. The next thing is socks, and it's the same here. Like I've had these socks for so long, like several pairs. And these two are like mismatched because they're both one sock that's left over when the other sock had huge holes. But now I think this one is still fine, but this one has like a huge hole here. So whenever I'm home, I'm now wearing it sometimes still because I just brought like 3 pairs of socks. But whenever I'm home, I'm just gonna throw this away as well. And this one will wait. I'll wear it a few more times or it will find a new partner. The third thing I did absolutely not expect, and it's my phone. And if you've watched my last in and out video, which I'm gonna link you up here, I did buy a new battery for that phone. Like just a few weeks ago, I bought the new battery because the battery was kind of getting like bad, and then a few weeks before our travel started it got even worse out of nowhere kind of, and it wouldn't even last a day. So I really thought and really hoped that the issue is actually the battery. I bought a new one, but it did not work, it did not help. And there, during the first days where we stayed in a cabin where we didn't even have power, which was okay, but just with that phone it was a pain in the ass. I'm gonna link you the vlog up here because it was beautiful there. But with that phone it was really a struggle, and I realized that at some point, like, this phone actually has an issue, and I would like run it on a power bank all day long and it would even lose battery while plugged into a power bank. And so I was like, oh, I'm just gonna survive this trip. And whenever we're home, I have to like order a new like secondhand phone. But then like 10 days into our trip, it fell down, and it was like, yes, it was 2 meters. So it was too high for a phone to fall down. But first it looked fine, and then the screen started to become blue. And then I thought like, yeah, well, with the blue screen, I can't really take pictures, or I can't see the colors, yes, but it still works. So I hope it's gonna stay with the blue screen until we're home. It sucks, but it's fine. And I will buy a new phone when we're home. But then on the same evening, it went completely black, and now the display doesn't work anymore. So it's I cannot use it anymore. So yeah, I have to declutter this as well. And because this is a sustainable phone, I can like send it back, and I will get like 22 euros back because it's like the deposit for this phone, because they want to like recycle it or something like that. So that's great. I'm taking it home. I'm sending it back to the company. But I'm sad. Like, it lasted 3.5 years, which is pretty long for a smartphone. But still, I wanted to use it longer, and it didn't last. But then that takes me to the things that came into my life this month. So let's start with these, and I will have to like move here and whew. So obviously, or I think at least it's something to expect, I have now a new phone. So we were lucky because the day after my phone broke, we actually like traveled again to like a town where at least like it's not a small village, but it's an actual like town. And there I like searched all the electronic shops to find a secondhand phone. So I would ask them if they had any refurbished phones, if they had any phones that people like turned in after like a 2-year contract where they like get a new free phone, but the phone is still completely fine. And if I could buy one of these phones, if there's like a marketplace for secondhand phones. And I had like a phone in mind, which is a lot smaller than this one, because to be honest, like I cannot really operate this phone with one hand, and neither could I operate my old one. And so I really wanted to have like a smaller phone that would fit in my pocket better with a better phone camera. That's like one of the things that I really wanted to improve. But no luck. Like we found only one shop that sold secondhand iPhones, and that shop was closed. Then we were actually on our way home and we walked by like a secondhand clothing store where we looked for clothes. But there was also an electronic like store next to it. So I went in there and asked, and the first guy said, yeah, we should have something. And then like, oh, we have like one iPhone 8. And I was like, nah, no, thank you. I really don't want to have an iPhone 8. And then the other guy said, no, we have something. And then he actually had a lot of phones. And so this is like I think it's Motorola 9G or something, and plus I think, because it's really huge. But I got it for like 200 euros. And it was one of the phones like a customer returned because they weren't happy, or it was a display model. I couldn't really like he was really good at English, but we talked about so many phones, so I don't remember which one this is exactly. So it's kind of a secondhand phone, and he said that like if they can't sell it, they would throw it away. So they sometimes try to sell these, but it really didn't look like it, because I really had to ask around to find somebody who would sell me these. No, it's kind of a secondhand phone. It's not the phone I wanted. The camera is better, but in low light, and as soon as you like zoom in, it's really terrible. So I will keep this phone. We'll see, maybe for a year, but I'm maybe not gonna like write this one out like 3 years, because it's not the one I wanted to begin with. It really doesn't fit in my pocket. It's way too big for me. It doesn't have the camera quality I was looking for. It was just what was available, but I think I'm gonna keep it for now, and when I have another like secondhand phone, I will just keep it as like a backup emergency family phone or something. If one of our phones breaks, if my son goes somewhere without us, I don't know, rides the train without us, he can take the phone to contact us, things like that. So I have a new phone. But also, we were looking at the secondhand store there because we all kind of packed okay. I looked up like the weather data, and it said that it should like rain half of the days and the temperature would be approximately like 15 to 20 degrees. And so I thought, yeah, like that's typical like summer or like early or late summer weather in Germany. You can go out in a sweater. I have a rain jacket for when it gets windy, but that's fine. But it rained like almost every day, and it was way colder because this year was apparently a lot more wet and, colder. Everybody in Norway told us that, and so we were looking for some warm clothes in secondhand stores, and we found like a hat for each of us, and for my son also like 2 sweaters and a pair of extra pants, so when one gets wet he can have like a different one. So I have a new hat. It's just like, I think I paid like €1 for this one, and it's not like, it's just a basic hat. So I'm really happy about this, and I'm actually not gonna go travel without a hat again. Maybe if I'm gonna go to a hot desert but I'm gonna bring a hat next time I'm going on a similar trip, and I'm happy I have that. It has like a small hole here. I'm gonna take this home with me. It's like half wool, half plastic, made in Korea. Interesting. But it's a hat, it keeps me warm. I'm really, really happy I have this. I've used it a lot since we bought it like 2 weeks ago. And then it was also my birthday, and I got something from my boyfriend. And it's an ebook reader. It's not Amazon, so that makes me happy. And he wanted to buy a secondhand one, but then he saw that on all the marketplaces, the secondhand ones were more expensive than the new ones. So he said he's really sorry, but he had to buy a new one because he really just didn't see why he should pay a lot more than like a new device would cost for a secondhand one. So he got me a new one, and I know some of you said you would like give me your ebook reader, but I don't think it was like an easy way for him to contact you. And thank you so much for everybody who offered that, because I think it was more than one person. yeah, now I have one, and for now I'm really happy with it. I've used it, my son has used it, and I hope I'm just gonna read a lot on my ebook reader, but it's something I've wanted for a year or so, and yeah, I hope it will help me read more books. I'm actually going to talk about a book I read in a minute, but first I want to show you two more things. So I also got an external hard drive, and that's like a banana sticker to mark them because they look identical, the one I'm using and this one. So this one is a funny story. So my sister and her boyfriend also traveled Scandinavia, but for 3 months, and they like started a lot earlier than us. But a week before we arrived in Norway, my sister's boyfriend asked me if I had like an extra external hard drive for him to secure his data. He's like a videographer, so he had a lot of data, and I just had to say, like, I don't have so much extra space, I can't bring you an extra external hard drive. But he didn't want to buy a new one because he had a lot of those at home in Switzerland. So I offered that he could buy me one of these that I needed to buy either way, like in a few months. And when we met in Norway, he could save all of his data on the external hard drive that he bought. Then he sold it to me, or like I paid like the full amount, and I'm gonna bring it home with me. That's his backup. And whenever he tells me that he like saved all of his data, I can delete it off the hard drive and use it as like my next hard drive, because almost all of my hard drives are full now. So I paid about the same as I would pay back in Germany, and I just like offered it to him. So now I'm carrying around an extra like external hard drive, but it's a good backup for my sister's boyfriend. And I have one more thing that came into my life in August. And then the last thing, some of you might think it's pathetic or it makes me more human, or I don't know, I collected a piece of driftwood. So it was when we stayed at our river, and it's actually in the first vlog that I linked up there for you, but you can also see the second vlog, so I'm going to link that as well. And there was a lot of driftwood, and this is just a beautiful piece because it has that, it spirals kind of. And I brought it with me through like 4 accommodations. I'm not sure if I'm really going to keep it. I just wanted to take it with me, and maybe I'm going to toss it in the forest here before we go, or I'm going to keep it, I'm going to bring it back to Germany. Maybe I'm going to do something with it, or maybe not. I don't know, but for now it's staying with me and I'm taking it with me. So now I'm going to talk about the book I read. So it was Buy Nothing, Get Everything, and it's about starting like a giving economy in your neighborhood so that everybody can like give away the stuff they don't need, and everybody can ask for stuff that they need. And they tried it out in the US, and it worked really well, and it has now like over 4,000 communities like this all over the world. I think there's also a forum to discuss, and there's like an app you can download. I'm going to link these down below for you to check out. And I think it's just a great concept. So this is not sponsored in any way, but I think it's like a great concept, and it really fits into many things I believe, because I think it would be a really, really sustainable way. And that's what I do, like on a local marketplace as well where we live, that I try to get things secondhand, but there, you know, I'd still pay money. But in this like concept, everything would be for free, and you could offer like helping somebody to move, you could offer cooking somebody a meal, you could offer your old boat that's in the attic and you don't use it, you can offer rides, you can ask for baby clothes, you can ask to I don't know, apples on somebody's apple trees that they don't use, things like that. And the idea is that most people have stuff they can give that they maybe don't even know of, and that most people also, the things that they really want are somewhere available in their neighborhood, and somebody else would really like to give it to them. So I think it's a really great concept, and I can recommend you check out this book if you're interested in that, if that sounds interesting to you, you know. And then I also, because I said last month that I'm going to treat these in and out videos as like a little like recap of the month, I really just wanted to like summarize some of the points. You can check out the vlogs to see more about my like the past month. But I should just like summarize some key thoughts and points that I thought about, or that I'm like thinking about now after I've been traveling for a month. So one is like very obvious. I'm super, super, super happy to be traveling again. I haven't been traveling in the past 3 years, apart from like visiting family in Switzerland. And it really makes me happy. It's what I expected. It's like, I just love seeing like different things. But one thing that I realized in particular, also when people ask me like, what are you going to look at? Like, what are the stops? Have you looked at that? Like, it's more so in German maybe, but, and I'm like, yeah, we've like maybe looked at that or know we passed that. But for me, it's less about like checking off certain must-see things, but I want to experience like the common stuff. Like I want to spend time in the Swedish forest because I think it's beautiful and I want to get a feeling for it, and I want to like, you know, experience it instead of just look at it. Like, yeah, it's a Swedish forest. It's beautiful. I was so happy that we saw northern lights when we didn't expect. I was so happy that we saw some moose just somewhere in the forest far away. I'm so happy just experiencing nature, finding mushrooms and finding blueberries and spending time in forests and on hikes. And it really doesn't have to be the most exciting one, but just spending that time and experiencing the things, experiencing the difference in like nature and environment compared to where I live usually. And one thing I just mentioned before is northern lights. So we knew that we might have a chance to see some northern lights if we are lucky, because like August is really, really early. You mainly see them throughout winter. And we were so surprised when we saw them in the beginning of August, because that's like usually really, really too early. You wouldn't expect to see them. And now in the end of August, we saw them as well. And they're just so beautiful. So you kind of you can plan it. There's also a forecast for northern lights, but they're really unpredictable. So a lot of like nights we were watching and peeking outside every 15 minutes and nothing happened, and we went to bed and saw nothing. And then on other days it's like, yeah, maybe. And it's like, whoa, it's crazy. So we saw them like 3 or 4 nights now, and one night was really crazy a few days ago. The other ones were like, yeah, it's still great. And I just realized I cannot get enough of them, and I'm really sad to like travel down south again, because then we're way too south for northern lights. I also realized what I kind of knew before, but now I experienced it, and that is like traveling as a content creator. So I brought work with me intentionally, and I did work less. But I just imagined that I would have enough time, like in the evenings, like that's time that I could just like edit the video or answer some emails. But it's like not like that. I actually, whenever I sat at a computer and worked, it was more so time that I would actually have loved to read or relax or do something else. But I knew that I like had to edit the video now, had to answer some emails now, had to plan out some content now. And that's fine. Like, it's still a privilege, and I'm still super happy that I am able to travel here and that I'm like able to do that. But it's also, I realized that it's just exhausting, and it's just not, you cannot just do it on the side and it just works on its own, but it's it actually takes a lot of effort and hours. But now, before I'm ending this video, I still also want to end on like a positive note, also about minimalism. And something I've been saying more and more in the past few months in several videos, I think, is that whenever you're like occupied with spending your time with things that make you happy, with spending your time with friends, or, you know, experiencing new stuff, being outside, it automatically makes minimalism and not focusing on stuff so much a lot easier. And that's also what I experienced. I experienced that years ago when I was traveling, but now again, like, I could not care less about my wardrobe, about my possessions, about, like, of course, like, I need a phone, I need this camera, I need some stuff. Like, my identity is just not as like tied to my stuff as it is otherwise sometimes. Now, don't get me wrong, I know I'm not my stuff, and that's not a problem in my life. I think that's nice, and that might happen whenever something like really important happens in your life that consumes all of your like energy and attention, and I think that's a great experience. But I also think it's normal, like, to have a place to call home, to have your things, to be grateful for your things, to care for your things, to like think about your things, and making sure you actually have the stuff that makes your life easier and adds value to your life. But still, at the same time, I think it's great to experience the freedom from stuff and the freedom from like thoughts about stuff. This video is longer than my usual in and out video, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. And now I am going to link you actually the train vlog up here, because I think it's a really good one, of our 33-hour train ride from Germany to Norway. I hope you check it out. I will see you there, and otherwise in my next video. Bye!